Overnight in Gaza, the IDF began what they're calling Phase 2 of Operation Gideon's Chariot.
We will deepen the attack on Hamas in Gaza City, a stronghold of governmental and military terror for the terrorist organization.
Over the past week, intensive bombing and artillery fire has given Israel's troops an established foothold on the outskirts of Gaza City in the north of the Strip. It's home to more than 1 million Palestinians who are starting to evacuate ahead of orders to do so as the IDF begins its ground offensive. For some, final goodbyes with loved ones killed in the strikes before they'll be forced to say goodbye to their city. With only 14% of Gaza free from militarized zones or evacuation orders, there are few places left for the Strip's 2.1 million Palestinians to go now.
Last time I was displaced to the south, but this time there's no possibility for me to move because our displacement is death. Let's face it with honour, next to our homes.
Israel's operation has attracted widespread international condemnation, prompting some nations like France, Canada and the UK to state that they will potentially recognise an official state of Palestine as a result.
I must reiterate that it is vital to reach immediately a ceasefire in Gaza and the unconditional release of all hostages, and to avoid the massive deaths and destruction that a military operation against Gaza City would inevitably cause.
In Israel, around 60,000 reservists are being called up for the beginning of September to free up active duty personnel for the operation. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to seize what he describes as the last terror strongholds in Gaza has sparked anger and protests, not just from concerned hostage families, but also from reservists themselves.
We are here to talk today by our feet. We want all the 50 hostages home. This is what we want to approve. They need to come home immediately.
Analysts believe the large-scale operation is primarily intended to put pressure on Hamas in the ongoing negotiations for a ceasefire and end to the war. Gaza City is Hamas's military and governing stronghold. It's believed they operate from a vast network of underground tunnels. Hamas says Israel's plans to conquer Gaza City show its blatant disregard for efforts to broker peace and a hostage deal. In the centre of the Strip, Deir al-Balah, which has been relatively safer, has also been struck this morning. It was already housing many displaced Palestinians, with more likely to have joined from Gaza City in the coming days.
This is the area they said was safe, south of Gaza. It's the safe area. I've been displaced from one place to another, from the north to the central Gaza Strip, and then here. We're tired. We're tired.
Tonight, Prime Minister Netanyahu will hold a security meeting with some of his cabinet and top army officials. They're expected to approve the accelerated plans for the occupation of Gaza City. With many there now suffering the effects of malnutrition due to the aid restrictions, it's unclear how many will even attempt to move to what little territory they have left to relocate to. Well, joining us now to discuss the Israeli government's plans is Dalia Paulina Kusner, the sister-in-law of hostage Eitan Horn, currently being held in Gaza. Dalia, thank you very much for talking with us. Firstly, how concerned are you and your family about these latest offensive plans?
Hi, and thank you for having me. I think I'm terrified. I think this is a huge mistake. There's a current deal on the table, and I think the Israeli government, with the help and all the pressure and security of the United States, and of course, putting pressure on Hamas, they should just enter the room and start this deal and just finish the war and release all the hostages.
What do you think it will mean for hostages like your brother-in-law Eitan in the coming days?
You know, since October 7th, unfortunately, and this week marks the 1-year anniversary of 12 hostages that were killed and executed by Hamas because the army was coming too close, you know. So I'm afraid it would be more of the same. And I know that when the military pressure is, you know, harder, So the terrorists are torturing them even more. They're being held by evil. Hamas is pure evil. But Israel has to stop this war now, bring them back, release them, and then start building a better future for the entire region, not only for Israel, of course, for Gaza, but for the rest of the region.
There have been protests this week in Israel, not just by hostage families, but also by the general public. How concerned are Israelis about this plan?
I think that according to the last census in Israel, more than 83% of the population want to see all the hostages, all the 50 hostages back home and to finish the war. That means that almost all the country. So we've seen 2.5 million throughout the day. In the biggest and the central event in Tel Aviv, we saw 500,000 of people in a small country like Israel. That means that the Israelis want this war to be over now. We want all the hostages back. We don't want any more soldiers to get killed by those terrorists. And we also want to see a better future for the innocent civilians in Gaza.
And this is a massive call-up of reservists. Some have already said they won't report. Some families have expressed concern over the welfare and mental health of their sons and daughters. Can Israeli citizens carry on for much longer with this level of disruption in their lives?
No, we can't. You know, people always say that we, the Israelis, were so resilient and we're used to it and these kind of things. We're not, and this is not normal. And we need the entire world to stand with us because the people of the southern part of Israel, you know, this Gaza envelope, we call it, which are the small cities and towns around the border with Gaza, but on the Israeli border, they've been suffering from missiles and rockets for 20 years. Imagine if it was your house that for 20 years, every day, you'll have siren and then you have 15 seconds to run to a safe place. How can kids grow up in such a reality, you know? And then October 7th, which for us was the worst thing that we've experienced since World War II, and the images from the extermination camps and Auschwitz and all these images that the entire world knows. And now for 2 years, we've been fighting. And at first, it was a very important battle and a very important and just war because Hamas wants to eliminate us. We don't want to eliminate the civilians of Gaza. We want to live in peace with them. But now, when there's a window of opportunity, when the big leaders of Hamas are not with us anymore, when so many countries understand that Hamas is pure evil, and instead of giving them a nation, we need to fight together so these terrorists will go away and leave the population of Hamas and, of course, the hostages. This is a small window of opportunity. We need to seize that day and sign this deal and be able to rehabilitate ourselves.
Well, on the subject of rehabilitation, Israel's international reputation has taken a severe dent over the past 2.5 years. Are you worried that the government's plans to, what they say, take full control will have a huge impact on Palestinians, but also on how the rest of the world treats Israel?
I think we see this impact already. I want to say that I feel ashamed that after 80 years after the Holocaust, when we all, and when I say we all, it's not just the Jewish people, it's the entire world, saw the images and said never again. Once again, I'm afraid of traveling around Europe. I've been to Europe last month and I was afraid of speaking Hebrew on the street. I was afraid of saying that I'm Israeli. I think the main problem is that the governments of the countries of Europe are giving prizes to Hamas. And they're saying, oh, so you killed, you kidnapped, you raped women, and now we'll go to the UN Assembly on September and we'll declare a Palestinian state. Are you nuts? Are you crazy? Are you want to declare a Palestinian state with Hamas in there? Join the fight against terrorism. Tell Hamas to leave the hostages, to release them. Tell Hamas to release the population of Gaza. I'm afraid as an Israeli because I think that the mistakes my government is doing, together with huge mistakes, or maybe, I don't know, if those just prime ministers cannot see the truth or cannot stand for what's right and what's just. So I'm terrified, but I think that we're in this point where we can still make a change. My government should sign the deal and stop the war right away. That's what the Israeli people want. And your governments should sit down and learn the lesson, I think, as well.
Dalia Paulina Kusner in Kfar Saba, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much.